Baik, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, honorable supervisor, and examiners. My name is Alfathi Ardiansyah. Today, I would like to present the result of my internship report titled Frequency Spectrum Complaints and Interference Analysis on Wi-Fi 7 device, specifically the Unify U7 Pro, using a spectrum analyzer. This work was conducted under guidance of Mr. Cheng Sulaiman and Mr. Bayu Darmawan. I will start this presentation by explaining the background and the objective of this study. The telecommunication world is evolving rapidly. We now have Wi-Fi 7, which offers massive bandwidth up to 320 MHz and operates across multiple bands. However, this brings challenge. In Indonesia, the 5G band is strictly regulated, especially the UNII to C range, which is critical in meteorological and maritime radar. The problem is, new devices like the Unify U7 Pro might emit signals that fail dangerous if they are not configured correctly for the Indonesian region. Therefore, technical validation using a spectrum analyzer is essential to ensure compliance. Based on this issue, the objective of my internship were 1. To measure the RF signal characteristic of the Unify U7 Pro, 2. To analyze whether the 5G bands and 6G band operation comply with the Indonesian frequency allocation table. 3. And most importantly, to identify any potential interference in the priority radar bands. And with the benefit, backloading these research against significant benefits. First, practical experience in operating industry standard tools like the spectrum analyzer. Second, a deeper understanding of spectrum management. And finally, this skill have prepared me for professional career in RF engineering. For the logistics, I conducted this internship for approximately 6 months, from June 23rd June to 31 December. The work was carried out at the Telkom Test House under PT Telkom Indonesia. Moving on, let's look at the specific problems I analyzed during the testing. I focus on three main technical issues. First, there are band issue like the 5.4 to 5.7 GHz range is for radar. Wi-Fi can only operate here if it has a functional DFS, dynamic frequency selection feature. And second, spectral record. With Wi-Fi 7 using wide channel, there is a high risk of signal leaking into an acquiring frequency. And third, region configuration. If the country code is wrong, the device enters global mode, which opens up frequencies that are actually illegal in Indonesia. Now I will present the core data and the result of my activities. Here is a testing setup. For the tool, I use the Rohde and Squarch FSW spectrum analyzer, capable of high precision analysis up to 43.5 GHz. And for the device under test, or GIT, is the Unify U7 Pro access point. And for the method, I utilize an omnidirectional antenna to measure center frequency, bandwidth, and power level. As you can see in the topology here, the connection flows from the UNT to the router, then to a Unify access point. The signal emitted is then captured by the spectrum analyzer. I configured the device on channel 104 for the 5G band and channel 117 for the 6G band. To ensure accurate reading, the spectrum analyzer was set with a reference level of minus 32.1 dBm and span ranging from 5.35 to 6.185 GHz. And this is the result for the 5G band. And look the marker. We detect active signal at 5.5 GHz and 5.5 GHz with a power level of minus 36.31 dBm. This is critical finding. This frequency are inside the meteorological radar zone. Since the device was transmitting continuously without active DVS, the signal can cause disruptive interference with the radar. Next, for the 6GBN, we found that signal extend up to uh, 6,542 GHz. This indicates a violation. Indonesian regulation currently limits Wi-Fi usage only up to 6,040 6,425 GHz. This proves that the device is operating in global mode, altering the national frequency boundaries. Based on this finding, I have drawn several conclusions and suggestions. In conclusion, the spectrum analyzer successfully verified physical parameters that standard software cannot see. And on 5G bands, we found illegal emission in the radar band due to the lack of active DFS. On the 6G band, the signal exceeds the legal emission limit. Essentially, regulatory compliance heavily depends on the regional software configuration. Finally, my recommendation or my suggestion are based on technical suggestion. Network admin must ensure the country code is set to Indonesia before going live to avoid sanction. And we should avoid using the maximum 116 MHz bandwidth near the edge of the frequency band. And for academic suggestion, I suggest for the research to specifically test the effectiveness of the DFS feature in detecting real radar signal. That concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention and